Yo, what is up, everybody? What's happening? Check you guys out. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. Getting over the sick, that's for sure. Just checking everything out right now. I think we got Sharky hopping in later on, so hopefully he'll make it. Anyways, holy crap. Oh man, another Monday. Who would have thought, right? To see I'm looking around the market this morning. Oh man, my voice is horrible. Really sorry for that. And to see like Apple down, what is it now? God, I don't even want to look at it. Let's see. Apple down. What is it? Almost 3%. Google down. GOGL. Almost 3.5%. And then Tesla down. God, it was like 6%. It's almost 7% now. And the market is up. The market is up. Oh, there he is. What's up, Sir Sharky? Look at you, man. Chilling. I got no voice right now. No voice.
What's going on, team?
What's up, man? Check that hat out, dude. Is that an Aries hat?
Yeah, we got the Aries
Nice.
hat.
Got a rep. How was did you go to Disneyland this weekend?
Oh yeah, we missed you.
Pretty packed, dude.
We missed you. Yeah, it was a quick trip.
Did you get I was waiting for the Disney ears. No Mickey ears today?
No, I should have.
Oh my God. What is up? All right, the guy's saying what's up. All right, so every Monday, welcome, by the way. Sharky joins. I love Sharky. Sharky's my boy. But what we like to do here is kind of like go through. So the morning session, if you will, is more or less over. It's kind of middle of lunch hour right now. So, and again, my voice is just absolutely horrendous. Sorry, it's not helping. And just going across the board, I think, for me, I used to do when I was starting out trading, and if this resonates with you, then it'll probably make sense why I do this time every week. Is I used to do all these charting on Sunday night, and then Monday morning would come around, and I'd be like, oh shit, either the trade is already invalidated, or all the profit or all the targets had already been hit, and it just ended up being like this huge waste of time. And so I like to spend the weekends with the family now. So sorry, kind of how it ended up evolving, but it actually works out pretty good in general. Plus, if you don't know, Monday's morning price action is very impulsive a lot of times. Sometimes that ends up being like the high of the week, and things don't always like pan out the way that it looks like it's going to initially. So I like to take this time, kind of take a step back from the market, reset, and reassess what's going on. I did take a couple trades this morning. Did you take anything this morning, Sharky?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to trade on UPS with some nice relative strength today.
You stop that.
And I did one little trade on NQ. After my first thought, of course, and we always talk about this concept of markets running and resting. Yep. Coming into a Monday after Friday's rally, I had very low expectations looking at an inside bar, probably daily print. So, I was coming in with, and my own personal thing of traveling a bunch. So I was coming in with an extra air of caution today, just on how I was going to be approaching the market. And I know that you also like to kind of take Mondays off as well, and just kind of get a feel for what might be the theme of the week. Sure. And we've seen that here, and we're still seeing a big market divergence, right? We have SPY breaking out of the opening range and moving higher almost at Friday's highs. Whereas NQ is kind of still inside the range, trading not anywhere near the highs. So we've had this also extra divergence that we've had to deal with, and IWM as well has had some spurts of action. I know that's your baby.
No, IWM is probably like the best looking chart for me in a long time.
Yeah.
Even with this morning's pullback, I mean, the opening print on IWM was, it's 52-week high. We're gonna start seeing it on Evan's list probably regularly now. So that's really good to see. And especially, my first comment out of the gate was like, look, I'm looking at Apple and Google down like 3% plus, Tesla down 7% now.
Right. I think it was on China numbers, I believe, right?
I don't. You know what? I didn't even see what the Tesla thing was. Maybe they'll tell us in the comments. But
I'm pretty sure it was.
but you know, if it was a normal market, if we rewound like 3 months ago, and those three things were happening, there's no way that the market would have been green that day. Like no
Right.
way. And so I think it's a healthy sign overall. And it, you know, everybody keeps talking about the Mag 7, et cetera. And that'll kind of get me into this here. What I'll do just
Sure.
really quick is like, I still don't want to count them out. Right. So Tesla might get beaten down today, but I know, Sharky, you're not necessarily the biggest Elon fan, but yeah, I do think, you know, at some point, not today, it's not today, right? Apple, Tesla, and probably even Google, you know, they're getting beat up right now, but they're going to be a buy, you know, sooner than later to me, you know. And Casper, yes. So my very next slide, Casper, I'll get to that in just a second. Actually, let's go ahead and do that right now.
Well, okay. Well,
Well,
yeah. Well,
go ahead.
before we will, I guess I just wanted to finish up the thing. Just about the market. So, yeah. So just let's be careful. You know, we've also seen some moves in oil coming up into a
Yeah,
really critical level, which we'll also maybe like to touch on. So,
we will for sure.
just note the divergence, everybody. You know, that can definitely lead to just the kind of maybe inconclusive or undecisive price action, and go where the strength is, you know, and maybe, you know, you want to stick with SPY or over Q if you're looking for the longs, and just kind of be tactful and not give yourself an unnecessary headache.
Yeah, I think go where the strength is pretty crucial, right? At least for me, in our group, I do a lot of investing stuff also, right? So I am a day trader, if you guys obviously know that. But this is just so you know, this is our server where you can sign up via a wait list right now, but we have a ton of investing stuff as well. And Casper was asking about Snowflake here, and what I will say today, I want to go through and do kind of like a rehash. So I do like my top five for the year at the beginning of the year. This is the first year where I'm like constantly you know, touching base on it. Last year, as an aside, number one pick was GE. This year, Snowflake was the number one pick. There was five, right? Snowflake, Celsius, um, Celsius, Quanta Services, Ulta, and Boston Properties as kind of like a mixed bag, right? And so here's Snowflake, really. And if you didn't know, I did post this. But you know, the story on Snowflake to me, no, it's not changing. But there's a big problem when we have a CEO that changes. Not problem, but like as an investor, when you invest and you have to think about, yes, well, we are traders. We're trading a market of investments, if you will. And so you have to think about how investors are also thinking at the same time. And you know, the investment was really behind the team of Snowflake, and I know the team personally, and I do get why, like Frank, you know, yeah, he's old. But yeah, I will say that you know, the hedge, there was a hedge fund that actually twisted Frank's arm, to Frank Slootman, CEO of Snowflake, to come out of retirement. And
I thought you were talking about Uncle Frank for a second.
no, Uncle Frank, Frank Slootman, CEO of Snowflake. I mean, it was a big deal for him to come out of retirement, and they offered him a pretty like amazing carrot, um, just to be able to take that role on. And I think he was the right person for the job, specifically because of his history, right? His history at ServiceNow, Data Domain, and bringing all these companies public, and actually like kind of like spearheading a lot of like acquisitions and things like that. So that said, he's kind of tired and he's done his job, and yeah, maybe it's time for him to move on. The question is about the new guy, right? And the new guy does have a good pedigree, so to speak, coming from where he's coming from. I wrote he was coming from Google Gemini. Gemini is not. He didn't come from Gemini specifically. He did come from Google's like AI search like platform, and he started his own company, which was then purchased by Snowflake, which, you know, in retrospect was probably a planned transition. I just don't think that the market liked, and I didn't really like the way that the transition went down. I would have liked to have seen, you know, here's our transition plan. rather than I'm out, see you later. My job is done here. That sucks, right? And the big hesitation for me right now is that while the new guy might have the right tech background, there's it's not always the best thing to have a technologist, so to speak, at the helm as a CEO, right? You need to have like that evangelist type of person at the helm, that person that's going to be able to speak to the vision long term, the market, the adjustable market, and the money, right? And Frank was absolutely that person. This other guy, I just don't know, right? Like, I don't know if he's going to be that guy. So I will say the market doesn't really know either. And so we have to give it some time, right? So do I think that the stock pulls back? Yeah, I really do. Does it come down out of my waiting from number one? Yeah, it's not number one anymore. No, right? I had to trim. Whenever I get a chance to, I'll trim, but I got to right size and I got to stick with where the strength is, right? And that's what you said a second ago, Sharky. So number 2, Celsius, right, was on the list. That's going to stay up there. The bottom 3, Boston Properties. Boston Properties is going to stay right now, just because of where we are. That's a CRE kind of thing. Ulta Beauty, I think, is we're peaking up on all-time highs. Earnings coming in pretty soon. But you look at the rest of some of these charts, and I'll just pull them up really quick. And like Quanta Services, yeah, you betcha, right? So this is Ulta right here. Ulta, we're basing. This was the prior all-time high. We got earnings coming up. Excuse me, March 14th. So this looks like a little pullback, and it's basing. This is healthy to me. I think we're good, right? Celsius, I don't think this is done, right? So we're extending today past that power earnings gap. So 212 is what we say in strat perspective. I actually have like $100, give or take, for this next extension, however long it takes. So when it comes to investing, that's different. I'm not trying to trade this with short-term options. PWR is Quanta Services, huge, right? Like when I said, we were pulling watch around that $200 level, our entries are around 165. Yeah, that was the absolute perfect pullback to go ahead and get in here long. And here we are at all-time highs. We're going to be hitting all-time highs probably daily, right? For the foreseeable future on Quanta Services. This is a chart, just as an aside, this is a chart that is absolutely godlike. And so I want to be in these kind of names. This is our GE, right? I want to be in these kind of names, like where the strength is. And so to that end, I will give you one that I'm going to be adding to my long-term as a replacement for snow, not as a replacement, but I think is a very similar setup, but does have the strength right now. And this is Okta. So one of the things that I did really like about Snow's technical setup was that kind of like 2-year base, right? And how it was breaking out of that 2-year base. So right here, this is 630 days on Okta. We have the exact same setup. So if I could find one, like, can I pick one out and replace it with other? I'm going to keep Snowflake, but I'm going to take some of that allocation and I'm going to put it where I see strength right now. This is a power earnings gap, right? Okta's been like toasted for the better part of 2 years. I think that I don't think Okta is its best of breed in its space, no question. I'll put a stop around $100 on this, but yeah, I have like 150, give or take, which is like another 40% upside from here, probably in the next 9 months, give or take. So that's what I'm going to be looking for as my replacement. So buying on any dips on Okta for me, gonna start to replace this. This is that power earnings gap here that we were just talking about. Huge upside surprise, holding strong. Again, any dips here I think are buyable for Okta. I wish I would have told you that Dell was going to be like replaced before, but I think again this is another one where probably it's probably going to have a lot of legs, but it's going to be a bit for the market to digest this guy. But so where am I going with this? There's still a lot of strength, and I think this is perfect example. These are perfect examples of the market broadening out. Healthy setups in general. God, that Dell chart is just insane. But that was the update I want to give you. I'm not going to take Snowflake out. I'm down on the position now. I've trimmed it. That's what it's going to be. But I got a replacement or two. I actually already did. I added a couple more others just as an aside. You know what? I'll just put this NEM Newmont Mining. This was kind of like a safety one. It's going to be a smaller position, but also I think a very big opportunity. If you haven't seen GDX or the gold miners today, look at this. This is just insane, right? So this is big breakouts coming. The whole time when I was getting long GDX from an options perspective, it was like trying to catch a falling knife, no doubt, right? But I knew that was going to be kind of like the base right around here. And even watching this index, which is the gold miner index, with gold at all-time highs, the dollar kind of pulling back, and the miners at like regular 52-week lows, it just made no sense to me. But yeah, this has been a huge move on the last couple of days on GDX for sure, which I do think actually may have some legs moving forward. So keep that one on watch for sure. And NEM inside of the GDX ETF is probably the largest. It is the largest weight. All right. Yeah, you guys. Dell 200 incoming. Yeah, probably not a bad call. What's up, Otto? Love you too, man. Where is Tessie gonna stop? Geez, these are so we're gonna get to these for sure towards the back half. If you guys have tickers, go ahead, drop them in the chat. Sorry, my voice is absolutely destroyed right now, and it's getting worse.
You need some ginger honey tea.
Ginger honey tea, dude. So I went to Starbucks the other day. I feel like I should buy some more Starbucks or something because I spent like $5 on this tea, and it was a tea bag. It was like 2 tea bags in my cup. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my God.
Well, you know what they say, better a tea bag in your cup than on your face.
Yeah. Oh my God. This guy, he just did that. Oh man. All right. So let's get on to some headlines. Boco Starbucks for sure. Sorry. So a couple of headlines to note. Obviously, SMCI hits the S&P 500. So congrats to you, SMCI hodlers. That thing is just insane, right? What I'll say right now is that this is a story all about the float. If you don't know what the float is, that's about, to me, it's a story all about the float and demand, right? Supply, demand. The float on SMCI is about 55 million shares. So that means that the total shares available to trade, where is it? Shares float 47.5 million.
Wow.
52 million shares outstanding. So 47.5 million shares float, right? The second ticker, and that's why. So there's not that many shares available to trade. And so that's why we're seeing this kind of like parabolic type run. This is a special situation where you can find these scenarios. And some people do trade around this, like looking at what's called the share float, right? And if you didn't know, this is just FinViz. I'll go on every now and then and I'll look at this, right? And the second one that is going in to the S&P 500 is Decker Outdoors. I think this is Uggs, actually. So we do have a few pairs of Uggs in the household. But check this out. If you thought 47.5 million float was small, 25.4 million float on Deckers Outdoors. Wow. So just be careful. Like some of these things, yeah, these charts look absolutely insane. No question. Look at this. Absolutely insane. But if you're out there trying to short this, just because something moves up a lot, just because something's a high dollar amount, doesn't mean that it's going to be done, right? Like you don't really want to be careful with that stuff. Oh God, we will talk about PDD. Yeah, okay. That's going to go for the back half for sure. Let me see. What else do we have? So we also had Whirlpool Zion. Funny enough, so Zion's gets the boot. Did you notice the KRE today, Sharky? Do you want? Oh, okay. Well, we should put you on this. So KRE. So I'm a big IWM fan, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to do this really quick for you guys. And I do this every now and then in our server, in our group. I'm going to do a quick side by side. So IWM here. This is IWM. We're going to put this on a week or a weekly chart. I'm going to hide all drawings, etc. So IWM here, right here, small cap index. There's something called IWF, Russell 1000 growth ETF. Now that's where SMCI used to live. If this is the Russell 2000, this is the Russell 1000 growth ETF. Very different chart, right? So what we know just by looking at this is that the top half, the first 1,000, let's go back to the weekly. The 1,000 of the 2,000 in the Russell are doing their job perfectly fine, right? This Russell 1000 growth ETF, IWF, is doing amazingly well, all-time highs, right? So the bottom half of the Russell 2000 is what needs to catch up. So what's in the bottom half of the Russell 2000? So IBB is the biotech sector, small cap biotech sector. That is about 1/5, give or take, of the Russell, 20% of the Russell 2000 sector weight. And so this guy just recently started catching fire here. And so you could tell this right here, IBB, biotech, you guys, Vertex, or like Viking Therapeutics, etc. They're catching a bid. And so if this can go, that's going to be helpful here because we already know that IWF, the Russell 1000, is doing its job, right? So what is the other biggest component of IWM? It's the KRE, or the Regional Bank Index. And this is about 30% weight of the IWM ETF. So between the two, IBB and KRE, those two pieces, if those two get going, then we're really going to catch fire on IWM. And if I look at just today, so we're starting to base out here. Today's candle is a big 212. We call it 212 for the Stratus reversal on KRE. I think there was a handful of articles out today that like a bunch of short sellers are covering, like $1 billion plus short covering on this regional bank ETF right now. And so the KRE itself today up about 1%. At the highs was up about almost 2%. So keep this one on watch for sure. This is a really nice space. What's true is that it hasn't been able to go down. There are still some like NYCB, some weeds that obviously need to get pulled. So this is New York Bank. This is toast, right? You have another one, Columbia National, probably going to get smacked.
They haven't been doing well. They've had a lot of bad news recently with the bank.
Yeah, so these two things, I think there's still what we call like weeds to be pulled. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to read through it to any kind of systemic issues here. I think there are a handful of companies that are going to that need to get basically pulled out. But once that happens, I think that the KRE itself is going to be good to go. But just as an aside, right? That's what we want to watch. If we want to be bullish there, those are the two sectors that we want to see really getting going. IBB and KRE for the IWM trade to continue on to the upside. But for now, it looks really good. All right. So moving on. I think so. Apple. Did you know Apple sucks? Apple sucks, man.
Apple's a tough place to be.
Dude, Apple was a tough place to be. I had a long position on Apple, have a long position on Apple. I started buying equity last week. And honestly, I'm not selling any equity, but the options are going to have to go for sure. Unfortunately, can't really do anything about headlines. I like really added to my Apple position on Friday, mostly because look, the way that I have my setup is like, if something's near my stop and it hits my stop essentially and bounces right on my stop, that's basically the very lowest level where my trade's going to be valid. And so I want to add, I'm actually heaviest towards my stops. And so I added Friday and it looked pretty good bouncing into the close, but I got hit this morning with a headline that just, that stuff happens, right? And it's just that's how the cookie crumbles from time to time, right? I can't get mad about that. I think that the TA kind of like goes out the window, and Apple had two products that they were going to release this morning, which they did. I think it was like a MacBook and something else. And It's
Yeah,
very,
MacBook Air, I think.
yeah, 2 product releases, but stock's not having any kind of reaction, so it's not going to save it. We just got to let this kind of shake out. Um, maybe it's at the lows. If you're in that position, Wednesday is, if you're not over 183, which is $8 higher by Wednesday, there's no way that those contracts are going to be good. It's just toasted. So honestly, I trim whatever. If it starts going up, we can reload and redo the trade. But for right now, that trade is toast, and it is what it is. They don't always win, can't win them all.
I got some short-term levels here that I could mention.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, we're there. That's the
yeah, I got the 173.30, 171.
Right. So like we're basically there.
Yeah.
So the level that I was really looking at was right here. And so that was, this was Friday's low. And it's coming back to essentially this kind of consolidation area and this volume shelf right here. But this morning's kind of headline just really toasted that volume shelf right here. So now we're definitely more likely than not that's why I said 183. So it has to get over this volume shelf. This is like 178, and prior all-time high is 183. That's, unless you're over 183, it's not going to be in a volatility expansion for long options. It's not going to be good. But yeah, we're running into this kind of shelf, if you will, right here. But yeah, oops, it is what it is for now, right? I guess if you were to say, okay, double top, I don't know.
All right, brother, we're coming out of lunch here. I gotta get skedaddling.
Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't read too far into that for now. It just is what it is. All right. The rest of the stuff. So we did say, so Bitcoin. Oh, well, now we're 67K on Bitcoin. Oil. You want to talk about oil real quick. So there's OPEC plus, meaning they're extending the output cuts. So oil is actually, what is crude doing right now? CO.
We have it at
86. Holy
80.
moly.
No, crude is
CO.
70. It's at 78.
Futures. All right, crude coming down.
Yeah, it's been having it has trouble in the 80 area. That's the big breakout area.
For sure. So oil output cuts until mid-year. We'll see. It's coming down to retest, kind of like that prior consolidation. But yeah, around like this 78-ish level was kind of like that perpetual short, and it broken out. So now we're coming back to retest it. We'll see if the market really believes them or not. There's a lot of other stuff on sanctions and things, like China, not allowing China to buy from the SPR, those kind of things too. So just, I'm going to get into some Fed speak stuff. So we had a handful of speeches last week, and we actually have 2 testimonies. What's up, Sharky?
Oh, I'm just want to say, since lunch is starting, I got to get going. But it was
Appreciate
great seeing
you,
you, bud. Hope you feel better.
All right, man.
And we'll see you next week.
I'll see you out there. So moving forward, we have two Powell speeches this week, actually testimonies, and it's like a semi-annual thing. So he does it once a year, or it's an annual thing. So he does a House and a Senate testimony. He's going to go up and he's basically going to say the same thing twice, if that makes sense. But it does kind of like put a pause in the market. And so I think, coming into this week, I'm really, unless it's going to be like headline driven, I'm very, very cautious overall, right? So what we're seeing too in terms of the Fed speak overall, like we got PCE last week. We're going to look at that. Fed Daily, that's the San Francisco Fed president. She's saying that the Fed's ready to cut rates when data demands it, obviously. And then we got Boston coming out, said Fed's likely to be easing by summer. So all in all, I think the market, I got one screenshot here. This is the comparison screenshot. The market was pricing in a bunch, like 6-7 rate hikes this year earlier, right? And now we have to go out to June. So right now, this is about a 50% probability that the market is pricing in a 25 basis point rate cut in June. So that's like the end of summer or midsummer, and I think that's matching what they're that's kind of matching what the Fed presidents are saying. So that's really what we want to see. If this gets really like overheated and the market starts to price in rate cuts be like before June, so let's say they're going to price in a rate hike at May, that's when I'd be like, okay, this is probably like market's going to be going up, but it's probably going to be a short or a near-term top, if that makes sense. Conversely, if this gets priced out and now they're no longer going to be pricing in rate hikes in June or July, and they're pushing it out to September, that's when the market's definitely going to probably be at bottom and buy, right? So right now, I think we're pretty accurate. So I think we can just kind of like trudge along and grind slowly higher, as long as what we see is still continuing, meaning as long as the market's continuing to broaden out, right? And so seeing some things like the market being able to stay green with Apple, Tesla, Google down. That's just, those are things that you can see from like a broader view and be like, oh, look, this is a healthy sign, right? So the market is broadening out. That's healthy overall. Last week, two things. So one thing, we got consumer confidence. So the first line here, Chicago Board consumer confidence numbers we got on Tuesday, that came in at 106.7 on a consensus of 115. So this is where there's some kind of disconnect between the actual data and like the market itself. So the market's continuing to go higher, but the data is telling us, this consumer data, confidence data, is saying that, oh, well, maybe in reality out there, you're not happy paying. I'm paying like $5 for my 2 tea bags at Starbucks, or however, I don't even know how much it was, or $25 for a 4-pack of double A's. Not a joke, right? Like that's, or your car insurance or your mortgage insurance. There's a lot of stuff that's going up. That's what this is kind of talking about, right? So there is a little bit of disconnect. Inflation's still sticky. It's not coming down. And so that's the disconnect that I'm seeing. On Friday, we got the consumer sentiment final. So this is a different oversight committee, Michigan consumer sentiment. That came in at 76.9 on a consensus of 79.6. Again, saying the same thing. Pre-COVID, just as an aside, consumer sentiment was over 95, right? Pre-COVID. So I think if this is continuing to stay low, and it gets better, right? Seeing these kind of consumer sentiment numbers low and if we're able to see those start to grind higher, that I think is going to be even better for the market, if that makes sense. Sorry. And then we're going to be watching the main thing. So we got 2 main data points last week. That was PCE. That's the what we call the deflator. Basically, everything came in almost exactly in line. So consumer expenditures. So what we're actually spending, 0.4 actual versus consensus of exactly 0.4. Personal income actually up 1% on a consensus of 0.04. So that's actually a little bit, actually a little good, right? Again, strong consumer, but they're still kind of feeling a lot. They're still kind of feeling some pain out there, if that makes sense. Personal spending flat, or personal spending in line to expectations here, 0.2, but income up. This is actually decent, right? So the consumer, as an aside, is actually healthy, right? Still not feeling great, but the consumer is strong. And so that leads me into some of the stuff that we'll start looking at this coming week. I'm looking at Target for the upside, for an upside trade, actually. So all the data that we've had so far, Target is, just as an aside, they have earnings on Tuesday. I'm actually long Target ahead of earnings. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, Target clearly bearish to bullish, whatever, reversal. If they were going to dump it, I feel like last quarter they probably was the one to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and they didn't. And I think they've been coming out of a lot of troubled times, and my bet is that they're probably done with the worst of it, hopefully. So I think Target, well, maybe it doesn't gap up or explode. I hope it does. We'll see. I have small trade on there. But if it doesn't, I think Target's a good one for any kind of dip buys moving forward, actually, for sure. So moving forward to this week, that leaves us to essentially what we get right now. It's not a whole lot. So we have 3 6-month bill auctions we got today. ISM services PMI is what we have tomorrow. It's really mellow week, except for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's gonna be choppy all over the place. This is where, I mean, you guys, if you watch this testimony, you're gonna laugh. It's gonna be boring. Don't bother. Like, I wouldn't really waste your time watching it. Half of the time, it's unfortunate. These senators and oh my God, what are they called? The House. Anyways, these politicians spend their time, lobbying for whatever their thing is, right? Like if they're trying to push an agenda, they'll start talking to him about whatever agenda it is that they want to push. That's really not pertaining to stuff that he has to deal with. So it's unfortunate, but that's honestly what ends up happening for the most part. But it should be where they start grilling him on, hey, look, why are we having to pay $25 for a 4-pack of double A's? Why aren't you doing anything about this, right? That's what they're going to be talking about. That's what they're going to be grilling him on, really. And then Friday is the all important number of the month, every single month, non-farm payrolls. Remember, Friday is a day where we do want to be trading on Friday. But after Friday, it's all about how the market digests Friday. So while Friday in and of itself is extremely important day to trade, but the most important part about Friday is not actually on Friday. It's about the week following Friday and how the market digests that. So when we get that number Friday, you're going to mark the low of Friday and you're going to mark the high of Friday. And if we're closing and opening above or below this Friday's high or low, so if we have a close and open and close above this Friday's high next week, we're only going up. We're only thinking calls. If we're not over that and we're opening below Friday's low and we're closing below Friday's low, we're only thinking puts. This is just how it's going to be. And if we're inside of Friday's range, we are completely neutral, right? More often than not, this Friday, like the first Friday of every month, these non-farm payroll days, this is a fundamental event that will create your technical levels. What's up, B-Trades? It's not guesswork. It's literally, it's like 100%. It is what it is. So make sure that you guys are marking your highs and lows of Friday's actual price action. So moving on, I'm just going to get to some earnings stuff really quick. I do a Dow 30 review, so top 30 components of the Dow every quarter. We've got 29. I think we might have had all 30. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing one. Well, we don't have any Dow 30 components this week. We have like 700 something companies reporting. None are from the Dow 30. Excuse me. And nobody's missed. First quarter, and I don't know how long, nobody's missed at all. Right? We've only had one meet. Literally everyone has beat expectations. This is the best quarter I have on record, you guys. So can the market continue to grind higher? What's the data tell you? It can, right? Believe it or not, it can. It's crazy. So, all right. B-Trade's hilarious. We'll take a look. So we talked about a couple things. So CrowdStrike tomorrow after the close is going to be one of your biggest movers. Quite frankly, I'm torn on this one. Palo Alto and Zscaler are both missed. Their addressable market to me is significantly higher than CrowdStrike's. CrowdStrike is trading at a very high PE. I would be hedged if I was long CrowdStrike equity with some short dated puts, like 300 puts at the minimum. I'll just say that because that could fall out of bed if they don't like completely destroy it. That said, they've been doing nothing but crushing it lately. So do I want to bet against them? No, not necessarily, but I would say this is a good time to probably either do like a stock replacement or hedge your bets. Nordstrom is going to be interesting, I think. So Target tomorrow before the open, I do have a bet on that. We're going to get a lot of this retail stuff. So we've had a lot of retail last week, even Best Buy, who, you would have thought would just completely dump it, right? They didn't, right? The stock actually went up, they beat, and then it's pulled back since. But at the same time, it's like they didn't miss. So it was an opportunity for Best Buy to get tossed out or toasted, but they survived. And we have a lot of those kind of earnings trades coming, or earnings retailers coming up this week. So Nordstrom, so Dropbox, yeah, I think Box actually got crushed last time. Yeah, they missed pretty heavily. I wouldn't. I not. I don't have a lot of high hopes for Box. JD.com. Good luck with that. It was ANF, Abercrombie and Fitch. This is another one. This is insane, right? So if you don't know ANF, look at this chart. Oh my God. Look at this chart. This is the kind of stuff that's like, holy camole. So, I mean, 52-week all-time high daily from, what is that? I don't know, $22 to $137. We'll see. What are these guys at? So it's up another 5% today. Oh my God. It's only $7 billion market cap, 7 billion market cap. It's a nothing burger market cap. So again, that doesn't, just because it's up that much doesn't mean it has to go down, believe it or not. I'm going to take this off. What else do you have? Foot Locker. Here we go. You're not a whole lot in terms of mega cap names. We got some China names, JD, Billy, God, PaySafe, yeah, right. Sorry for any PaySafe fans. We got Broadcom. So Broadcom, Costco. Broadcom obviously had a pre-earnings run last week. Looks like it's getting a little bit of it. It's tired now. I think you had a big move. It was a clear breakout over 1,300. Real high and tight, and it just went $100 in a single session. Congrats if anybody caught that, but yeah, she's got to rest now, for sure. I would not trade that. So, what are Burlington, American Eagle, BJ's? Yeah, a lot of this Gap, a lot of this retail coming in. Marvell Technologies, MRVL. I know a lot of people were looking at a lot of these pre-earnings write-ups. So I think this is good. If it's not this week, I might actually go forward on the calendar another week. We'll probably take a look in our group later on and see like what has earnings not this week but the week after, that we might be able to catch a pre-earnings run for the rest moving forward. But all right, so let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to do one quick section over, and we're going to hop over to, what do we want to do? Do we want to talk to Miss Cleo? Oh, any thoughts on GitLab tonight? No, Dan, I don't actually trade that one. It's a good spot, right? So like market cap, like small cap GTLB. Is this OTC? Oh, that couldn't be a make or break. It's a make or break chart. I'll tell you that on GitLab. It's a make or break chart. This is one I would trade with equity. Not going to be liquid enough for options. The chart looks good, but earnings could care less about your chart. That's for sure. Oh man, tough call. I don't know them well enough, for sure. Okay, I'll do this last one for NFP. Why NFP holds so much weight in your? We have a video. I know you're in the server. Go down to the School of Gains section here in education and click on this series, NFP levels. We'll tell you all about it right there. 1, 2, 3 videos in to that most recent series. Otherwise, I'll get caught up and we'll go too much. But so that said, let's get on to the next section and my favorite one. All right, guys. So this is it. Miss Cleo is in the house. She's given us the reading for the week. Top card is the theme card, and then she gives us a card for every day after that. So what is this? It says 6 of Swords is a theme card. 7 of Wands, Page of Cups, 6 of Coins, Page of Swords, and then the Star. The Star person is naked, getting some water. Okay. What does that mean, though? I have no idea. So We had an 8 last week, moved from 8 to 6, which suggests a retracement. Oh, backwards. Okay, because we're going from 8 backwards to 6. Also fits the theme card. Seeing let's see what the daily cards say. So let's not really worried about today because that's pretty much over. Tuesday is the Page of Cups. We're told to expect a surprise, possibly news. What? News? Do we have news tomorrow? No, just ISM services, factory orders. Okay, some speeches. We'll see. Possibly some news will guide the market direction for the day. Looking at the economic number, 2 economic releases, 2 Fed speakers in the afternoon. That's about some stuff. Yeah, brings new starts to positive historically. So turnaround Tuesday. I don't know. That's what he's saying, or she. Right. Wednesday, 6 of Pentacles. This is the same card we got. So position to receive charity. Give or receive charity, which means we'll start the day with a rally and then give some back. So intraday reversal. If we start low, if we'll start in the hole, be given a gift, it allows us to rally out. So if we have a gap down, then she's saying we'll be reversing. That's it, really. And then Thursday. So Thursday, Page of Sword Crypto. She does a lot of crypto. Maybe we can use this guide stocks. We'll see on Thursday. This guy typically bearish Thursday. Page brings new starts. So we're looking at fade Wednesday's theme. So reverse Thursday's reverse Wednesday. Okay. This is a chop week. If it closes green, probably reverse. If it closes red somehow, then we get a bounce. So it's cut pretty well. So don't be surprised if this action is very direct. Friday is the star. The star implies a need for a rest and healing. Oh, lame. So we're taking Friday off. We still have hope and this healthy pause, but it's pause nonetheless. Look for some consolidation near key support level that ultimately holds. It's not super bearish, at least for now. Well, sometimes we'll say this. Sometimes on those NFP days, and you know what I'm going to do is get back over to my SPY chart really quick. Let me see. So NFP levels here. So this is all these lines on my chart. They're essentially non-farm payroll levels, minus a handful of them. But you can see like sometimes they are small days. Like this is a non-farm payroll day right here. It's a small day in itself, but it still marked the high and low for the month, right? So that ends up marking the low for the month. And we've just trended on that time upside all the way since. And then we got one test at the low. This was January NFP. So January, we got a small NFP day, but it was Tuesday that broke out open and Wednesday opening above, closing above. This is just going. We got one retest and that was it. And then that brought us all the way to February's non-farm payroll day. Pretty big day, but it's not until this day here that you're like, okay, well, the trend is absolutely clean. It's going up. You get a retest, and that's it. You go. So this is why these are fundamental events that do absolutely create your technical levels, and they absolutely hold like validity 100% of the time. So again, same thing. Sometimes small day, but it's going to create your trend. So might be a Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and then we'll be off. But a bad one looks like what? Where's a bad one? September. Yeah, so this is September NFP right here. So September NFP, that's the high for the month. And we did nothing but go down. You got one retest, but it was instantly shot back down. And we went nowhere but down from there. So they are very, very important days. So that aside, we got a bunch of stuff. I don't know what you're doing in the chat, man. But all right. So I'm going to take a look really quick. So we got a couple requests. Let me just get this up. So TTD net. So TTD is trade desk. Ooh, so trade desk still in consolidation mode. So it was kind of like this earnings, kind of power earnings gap. Sometimes this is how it works, right? So sometimes you're just going to consolidate after a power earnings gap like that. You're hovering around a 50% retracement. You got to give this one. Sometimes it's like a 2-week thing. so far we're about 17 days in. So probably next week I'd be looking for a trade on TTD after it gets out of this consolidation here. NET is same thing, right? So this was your earnings thing on NET. Is a very similar setup, right? So you get these huge power earnings moves, right? This is a 24-day kind of consolidation. And like these things just got to mark your levels. Like this is a fib of that earnings move, if you will, here. And you're kind of like chilling inside that kind of golden pocket post earnings. So it's going to chill there until it's out. Both of these two, TDD and NET, I think are going to be for next week auto for sure. PDD. All right. So PDD has been a short. It stays a short. I think this one is harder to short. Like it's basically some of these China plays and certain shorts are just been like, you gotta just like hammer the short when they're up on the day. Because you can press a short. I still think it goes lower. This right here, this 120, if you get a daily close below 120, it's not good, right? That was that first kind of like pullback. I think what we're looking at here is essentially this type of pullback. So 106, 107, give or take, which would retest essentially this level right here. That's what I'm looking at near term. Earnings are on the 13th of March. So I had some March 15th puts on. I'm going to keep some of that on. Extremely light though, because that's going to end up being more likely than not an earnings play. So for now, this gap is being filled clearly. But if that gap extends, this prior earnings gap, 117 should be next, and then 109, and we shall see from there. But yeah, this is just a basic pullback from this swing low to this swing high, puts you right here at 108. If you were to take the whole move, that's going to bring you sub 100. This is more of a well, we'll see how it goes. But I'd say 106.50 give or take. That was my initial target, my big target. I mean, that's a big target from 145 short entry. So anyways, it's a good trade. We'll see how it continues to play out. You should be like very small position at this point. B Trades wants to know about Roku. We call Roku 145. Yeah, man, I think it does. There's no question. I mean, we're done, right? So Roku toasted here, barely beat. This is if I had my Kramer sound effect board, this would be like House of Pain for sure. I think this is like, again, in the small cap sector, this is very much like looking at NYCB and Columbia National in terms of the KRE relative to the KRE, where Roku might be relative to like small cap tech, right? So like small cap tech, yeah, there's going to be a ton of weeds that still need to get pulled. Like a Roku, 55 at least. I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, you should, that's 55 is the level. But honestly, it's like a 45 level to me, because you're beyond all that, right? Like you're beyond your 6.5 retracement. So you get a weekly close here below 62. This should not save you. You really should be looking at 44.50 is what it is. That's just technically speaking, like 2 cents. But yeah, sure, 55 initially. And then see how it plays out from there. But yeah, this was one. Vizio getting purchased by Walmart didn't help their cause. Barely beating earnings didn't help their cause. They're going to be struggling. Have you bought a Roku recently? They say it's a software play. Have you used a Roku platform to watch anything? Not recently, but it's not bad. All right. I think we are good. Kava. So Kava, yeah, I think Kava's one where, like, honestly, I would have been one where I might have actually looked at, God, this thing. Maybe in the past, like possibly. So one thing I want to know, so we have ARM that's about 6 months old now. Kava is what is 263 days also. What is, I don't know the 6 month date. So I think that lockup period is passed. So it'd be like 180 days, something like that. Yeah. Like this is like your 6 month lockup. So usually for like new IPOs, I would say you want to wait at least 6 months till the lockup period expires. Meaning, if you had the lockup before, and like if you had the shares pre-IPO, or like you're an institutional investor, you have like a 6 month lockup, meaning you can't sell shares for like 6 months. That is a situation where, like, okay, you want to wait for a new IPO for that period to expire, right? So that we know if someone's going to sell, like insiders going to sell, they're not going to be able to do it until 6 months is up, right? And so Kava's 6 months has passed. I think you're good on this one. Actually, this looks pretty good. This was similar to like ARMS. So ARMS lockup period is March 12th that it actually ends. And so that's where we are here. So we are 172 days. It's going to be about 180 days right there where this lockup period expires. Quite frankly, on ARM, I don't know that it goes anywhere until then. I think this just gets stuck right here, to be fair. But I think that's one where, like, March 12th, if you're long ARM, just know the lockup period. SoftBank owns 90% of the ARM shares. That's the biggest thing. It's not like that with Kava. We're one owner, one institutional investor owns 90% of the outstanding shares. Like, that's a huge risk on ARM for SoftBank basically itself to own 90% of the outstanding shares on ARM. That's a big deal. So do we think that they're going to sell? I don't know, right? But you're sure still going to find out if they are. So that's that. Just as an aside, that's basically what's helped kind of like propel this stock to the upside too, is that nobody's been able to sell since only one investor's owned 90% of the shares that exist. All right, so IWGX near term. Oh yeah, IWM. Yeah. I think IWM is probably my strongest, but 205 was like a huge level here. So 205.50, right? This guy right here. I actually nibbled a little bit long. This has been really like the resistance level forever. And so we're just now coming up into this kind of tier right in here, right? So can it kind of stutter step a little bit? Yeah, for sure it can, right? But where's the target? 222. 222.32 near term, right in here. See that little volume shelf? 222.32, right around here. That's where we should be going. Once we cleared that 200 level, we should be going to 222. How long it takes to get there, whole different story. This looks like weekly chart, clean breakout so far. I don't see a whole lot of data in our way, but it's not fun to trade IWM near term, if that makes sense. It's very choppy. So if you're long, be long longer. This is one where it probably makes sense to buy some time on this guy for sure. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. I'm going to call it right there. Appreciate you guys all hopping in. Love all you. Thank you for the support. We're going to be releasing too also pretty soon a newsletter. So just keep an eye out on our website. There's just a wait list right now for the next School of Gains iteration. We're going to start class this Thursday. It's the first session. And then every Thursday from then, we're going to have our live in-server sessions. If you're not there, sorry. But you can always sign up for the newsletter coming soon and the wait list until then. But till next week, that's it for me. Love you guys. I'm out. Peace.